In 1986, Compaq released their Portable 2, which was an improvement over its predecessor as it was more compact with higher performance. The design was similar to their initial Portable, featuring side sliding panels for power and interface access. The base offered a more complex raising mechanism with some room for a power cable. The rear of the keyboard maintained the same raising and locking design. Featuring the same 9-inch screen monochrome screen display, this one has a standard 360K 5¼ drive and what appears to be an aftermarket 3.5-inch drive. So let's open it up, fix what we need to, and review the Compaq Portable 2 computer. Sliding down the access doors reveals 2 retaining screws on each side. Once removed, this allows us to lift up the case in one go. However, a few extra pieces have fallen out, which we'll have to fix later. The Portable is encased in a large reinforced aluminium frame with access panels that can be removed. This one has an internal aftermarket Western Digital hard drive with a ROM dating from 1990. So let's straighten that metal housing and clean up those interface connectors. Next up is Compaq's multi-purpose controller board, which has floppy and hard drive connectors and external serial and parallel interfaces, which we saw previously here. So let's give those interface connectors a quick clean. Removing the floppy drive and internal display access panels reveals the same 9-inch CRT and circuit board we saw on the original Compaq Portable review. Let's also remove the power supply for review and testing, as the previous owner advised when they turned it on there was a flash and some smoke. This VDU controller has the main display connector, a light pen, RF modulator with 2 external composite and RGBI video out interfaces. So, whilst we dig further into the Portable, let's start our first montage. Reviewing the Compaq Portables 2 service manual, we can see this system board is version 2. With 16 256 1-bit dynamic RAM chips within bank 0 and 4 64K 4-bit dynamic RAM chips in bank 1. Adding this together provides a whopping 640K. Our ISA interface slots have been reduced to 4 from the original Compaq Portables 5. However, we now have 2 upgraded 16-bit slots. There are 2 ROMs dated from 1987, and this is the 8286 microprocessor, more commonly known as the Intel 286, and runs at 8 MHz. Let's perform some maintenance on our 2 floppy disk drives so we can test our Compaq Portable 2 power supply using this next montage. Let's replace this blown fuse and safely power on our power supply to see what happens. As that didn't go to plan, let's discharge the capacitors and inspect the board. Working from the fuse, I'll review the single-phase rectifier bridge, electrolytic capacitors and transistors to replace what we need to. In the interim, I've acquired this replacement power supply to keep us on track. So let's try that again. It's not working. It turned out to be the multi-purpose controller board. So, replacing that with a later version, let's hope it segues into our final montage. Now that all of the devices are working, let's detach the keyboard and set up our system options using the Diagnostic diskette. Typing in the correct date and for now accepting the default value for drive B, let's go into the Diagnostic Test menu. From here we can confirm we have an Intel 286 processor, the 640K of RAM we concluded previously, our 84 key keyboard, the printer parallel port, the video screen, drives A and B, and finally our serial communications port. The replacement power supply components have arrived. And although this AC to DC rectifier bridge seems to be okay, let's replace it anyway. Next down the line are the high voltage capacitors, which are in reasonable condition, but let's replace them too. The transistor was shorting across all the pins, which is why we experienced that explosion previously. So, fitting the new components, let's give it another test. Great, no explosion, but we still need to check for downstream damage before fixing completely. So, a job for another day. It's time to test that hard drive. Securing into the system board, let's see if it works after all this time. It's worked, so let's see if we can perform a directory listing. And not only that, I found a Windows setup file, so let's run that to see what happens. Well, that seems to be all okay, so let's press enter to continue. Oh, it's not worked. Okay, let's investigate this snooper directory and run snooper. So this is a detailed view of the Compaq's devices with specific configuration and capacity details of the fixed drive. And also, I found WP51. And pressing F5 and enter displays a list of file names, which for privacy we'll leave there. However, what we really need is a modern mod. like this Compaq flash to IDE adapter. Let's add a Compaq flash card and Molex to Berg connector extension and connect that to the multi-purpose controller board. And as we've already covered the format and boot procedure in our previous Compaq Portable video, let's skip to the good stuff. Downloading some authentic retro games from dosgames.com. Let's try our hand at that nice sedate game called Frogger. Okay, so we need something easier, like this Ford driving simulator. Let's select Touring and the Turbo Coupe. Pressing I to start and S to fasten our safety belt, it's time to go for our test drive.